What's up, Gator Nation? Here to bring you another commitment video following the DJ Lagway video. We now have a defensive line commit and Caleb Banks. Now, this is not your standard commitment. This is not a high school player. This is actually a transfer portal commit, which is a thing now. Caleb comes from Louisville, originally from Southfield, Michigan, and he is a giant human being. In high school, he was listed at like 6'6", 245 pounds, but from all reports now, he's 6'7" and over 300 pounds. So you're going to ask yourself, I guess the first thing here is, why didn't he play at Louisville? He was there for 2 years. I don't know if he redshirted his first year there. I think he played some. Not sure if he went through a redshirt. I think he was a redshirt freshman. So that would be reason number one, his first year in college. I'm assuming he put on the weight. And then the second year in college, I am assuming he was figuring out how to transition to playing at that weight from where he went from playing as an edge to playing as more of a, 3 technique or a 5 technique, whichever one you want to look at. More inside, going against guards versus going against tackles. Just a much different environment in there on the defensive line. But we'll get more into that in a little bit. Let's go ahead and start his highlight videos. I'm sure that's why some of y'all are here. This is his sophomore film right here. Look how long this kid is on this tape. This is him as a sophomore in high school, if the page or the huddle is correct. And I think a reason why Caleb wasn't as recruited as I think he should have been is this guy's huddle page is on another football player's page. It just kind of seemed like, I don't know if he didn't have a great support staff as far as getting his name out there or what, but it's just awkward not seeing a kid have a junior or senior or an easily accessible junior and senior season highlight tape. But you can watch the tape. You can see he has some kind of, I don't know if he's played basketball before, I'm assuming he has, but he has that unique ability to be 6'6", 6'7", and get down really low. Now it's not so much as far as a bend anymore is what I'll say, because bend is more so for defensive ends. But what I really like is he's going to probably still be able to get really good leverage. And when you're 6'6" or 6'7", with the ability to get a lot of leverage, and you add in the 300 pounds to that, I think there's a reason that Billy Napier, Patrick Toney, and the defensive line coach and whoever else was involved took this kid's commitment so quick. I know, some people may think this came out of nowhere. He's not ranked really on any website on 247 or on 3 on the transfer portal rankings. I think that's a joke, first of all, but we'll get into that in a minute. But I think they took his commitment for one simple reason. I guess more than one, but a big reason is they need help on the defensive line, and this kid is a more than willing body to put into the Jervon Dexter role since he is going pro. We're getting another freak of an athlete without all the pizzazz of being a 5-star recruit. But honestly, everything I see on his high school film, at least, I mean, there he is chasing down a running back from behind. You can just see how freakishly long he is, how freakishly big and strong he is, and now he's over 300 pounds. He's had 2 years in a college weightlifting program. He's played some. I think he had an insane pass rush rate as far as pressures on the snaps that he did play this past season. He didn't play a lot, but I think he had a really good pressure rate. So he's already showed signs that he could be a really solid player down the line. So I wouldn't let it worry you that he didn't play a lot at Louisville. He's only, again, he gained 40 pounds probably his freshman season. And then a sophomore or redshirt freshman season, he was figuring out how to play at that weight, probably at a new position as well. I'm assuming Louisville moved him more inside as well. But you can just see the upside on this tape. And once again, this kid's a sophomore in this tape, man. Look how long he is, how athletic he is. His arm's length is insanely long. You can just see it. There he is at tackle in this highlight tape. I mean, he's pretty skinny for his size, I would say, in this video. But, again, he's 15 in this video probably. So now we're talking about a 20-year-old grown man at 300 pounds and with all the other athletic and and physical tools that we see in this video. So I think we're going to cut off this highlight tape. We'll give him one more. This isn't really fully indicative of what he is now. It just kind of gives you an idea of, how athletic. We'll end it on a defensive note. Or if it lets us, this may be all offense. It's just kind of showing how well he moves for his size in these clips. We'll stop it there. We'll end it since it seems like it's transitioning more to an offensive tackle role, which we don't really care about. But we're going to get into his On3 page right here, look at him as a recruit, and also kind of discuss him as a transfer portal recruit, whatever you want to call it. But you can see back in 2021, I believe he was in high school still. You see he was not a very well-known name. His highest ranking was rated as the number 63 edge prospect in the country and a 77 grade on ESPN. 247 had him as a low 3-star. Excuse me. Rivals had him as a low 3-star. Not even a top 25 player in Michigan. So, again, it goes back to, I'll show you on his huddle page. We see there's a kid named Nick Jones. I'm assuming that's a teammate or somebody who helped him upload these videos. I mean, that's whose page it's on, so it's not very easy to find his highlights, first of all. I mean, shout out to Nick Jones for getting that on there. But, I mean, I didn't see his junior or senior season highlights. Maybe I'm looking in the wrong place. But I think he was just under-recruited simply because of exposure. I mean, you saw it on the tape there. If I was a major Division I coach and I saw that film as a sophomore in high school or junior, whatever he actually was that year, I'm making a phone call immediately and at least getting the kid to get an unofficial visit so I can really eyeball him and figure out, his personality and whatnot. So he was committed to Louisville. He actually committed to Arizona State, I believe, before Louisville. So we're talking about a guy who may be rated low, but he was committed to two pretty high Division I programs. So they saw something in him as well. And then I think what gave me even more confidence was the fact that in the transfer portal, he had offers already from, I think, Oklahoma, USC, and Tennessee. I think there's some other bigger schools, obviously, as well as Florida. But the fact that he had those offers immediately upon entering the transfer portal and the fact that Florida took his commitment that early in the transfer portal, the fact they scheduled that official visit so early, I think it's just a sign that they think extremely high of Caleb Banks. And probably he's going to be a day one contributor, and we'll actually look at that right now. Here is Florida's defensive line or projected defensive line in 2023. So we're looking at a first team currently projection of Princely, Umunmaleen, Desmond Watson, and Tyreek Sapp. I think Chris McClellan you see there is going to back up Desmond Watson. I think Justice Boone is going to kind of rotate between Tyreek Sapp and Princely. And then I think that's where Caleb Banks comes in. I think Caleb Banks is going to be your, like I said earlier, your Jervon Dexter role, which I think Tyreek Sapp will step into as a starter. I wouldn't be surprised if Caleb Banks started over Tyreek Sapp, honestly. I wouldn't predict it just because, Tyreek Sapp is such a team leader and he's not he's a pretty dang good player as well. Unless Caleb Banks is just that good, which is possible, especially when we're talking about, again, 6'7", 300 pounds. That's insane size. It doesn't matter who's trying to block him. That's going to be difficult for anybody. But right now I currently have him on the second string coming in here. More as, I think he's going to be more than a depth piece. We know Florida likes to rotate. They just didn't have the bodies to rotate this past year. I mean, Jervon Dexter, I believe, led the SEC in defensive lineman snaps, which is not something you want out of a defensive lineman, obviously being gassed and triple and double teamed the entire game. So he's a much needed breath of fresh air there. And again, it would not shock me if we're talking about Caleb Banks being first string. But either way, I mean, Desmond Watson's only going to be able to play so much. And he played a lot this past year. I don't think he'll play that much again next year as far as the number of snaps. I think you'll see a lot more McClellan and a lot more Banks on the inside. So he is a massive addition for Florida. I mean, we're talking about, let's see, 300 pounds is what he's projected at. I mean, only McClellan and Watson weigh more than him and are projected, two deep. Jalen Humphreys weighs more than him, but I have him highlighted purple because I think he is a transfer candidate because he's never really made an impact. I'm not saying he's going to transfer. It's just kind of eyeballing guys that are upperclassmen that haven't really made an impact. Typically, that's a sign that, somebody's going to be on the way out and trying to find a different school to go to. And there's the rest of our defensive line class below. Highlighted yellow are the new incoming players. So we have Kelby Collins as a third stringer to go along with Jamari Lyons and currently Jalen Humphreys. I would probably move Cameron James as a third stringer if Humphreys did transfer. I really like Cameron James a lot. I think he's a major upside player, actually similar to Caleb Banks here. Super long, not fully filled out, but gonna fill out, freakishly athletic for his size. So I mean, Florida has three complete alpha males on their defensive line next year in Desmond Watson at 415 pounds, and then Caleb Banks and Cameron James that are over 6'6". So defensive line is taking shape. No matter what you think, it may need one more year for some of these kids to get older, because we're talking about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 freshmen, if you're including Savane in that. So, I mean, I like the unit a lot. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if it's a strength, especially compared to what it was this past year. As many snaps as the starters had to play, it was not a good unit, but that is more so, I think, because the guys were gassed. I think we had a lot of talent, but we just didn't have enough depth, and that is quickly changing with this incoming class. So I think it is an extremely impressive recruiting haul along the defensive line. We were hoping for, 2 more additions. I'm trying to think of their names. I'm blanking right now for whatever reason. John Walker as one, but I think as the latest update we heard, UCF seems like they're gonna keep him. And then my big guy, I can't think of his name at the moment, who's down to Georgia and Florida. I think they said he seems to be trending towards Georgia as well. I actually have a quick way of telling you his name. I don't know why I didn't just go do this real quick. Let's go look at the big board and see. Jordan Hall. Man, that was not that hard. So Jordan Hall is down to Georgia and Florida most likely. John Walker is down to UCF, who he's committed to, and he's been committed to for a while, and Florida. And neither one of them sounds like they're coming to Florida at the moment, but you never know. Things could change. Either way, that defensive line class we just went over, it's pretty impressive. I think it's definitely a recruiting win for the defensive staff. I mean, obviously Billy Napier as well. He's the head coach. But let's look and see where Caleb Banks rates in the class currently. I have him as the 16th. I need to go ahead and take out Tyree Patterson since Blake Alderman said he was no longer committed or did not classify him as a commit anymore. So we'll actually just change this to low. So that way we can just filter him out of the class. So now we're talking about 22 commitments. Caleb Banks is rated as the 16th rated commit. And that's only because On3 or 247 or whoever has him rated as an 86 in the transfer portal, which I think is a joke. I think let's say he's rated at what I think he should be, which is more of a 90 at the worst, I would say, a low end 4-star. Even if we gave him a .90. I don't know why I gave him a 90 overall. Then we're talking about a 7.45 on the Gator Rater. We filter it, and he moves all the way up to number 9. So if this kid, Caleb Banks, was rated where I believe he should be, and I'm a pretty big deal. Not really. Nobody gives two craps what I think. But if he was rated even a low 4-star as a 90 in the 247 composite, we're talking about the 9th overall commit out of 22. And we're talking about a kid who's going to be a sophomore in college. That's 6'7", 300 pounds. at a much needed position. So I think this is kind of an underrated commitment. I doubt everybody is super excited about it just because they have the facts that he didn't play a lot at Louisville in 2 years, but I do not care about that at all. I'm extremely excited about this get. I think it's an excellent recruiting victory over Oklahoma and USC and Tennessee, as mentioned before. So yeah, that'll do it for this video. If you enjoyed the content, please like and subscribe. That would mean a lot to me, and it helps me out a whole lot. It helps this video get exposed a little more, and it keeps me pushing to the next video. Because I am married, I have 2 kids, I have a full-time job. It is not easy making these videos and figuring out when to put them out. But we did this one. Caleb Banks committed to the Florida Gators. Go Gators.